Chloe, otherwise known as Princess Aspian, and welcome to my channel.
Just be me.
So I know that we did one very recently, but I thought for today's video we could do like, I've got glitter in my eyeball. This is... I know that I've done one quite recently, but for today's video I wanted to do a Q&A about autism and ADHD. With October being ADHD Awareness Month, I wanted to do a couple of more ADHD awareness content videos, and I thought the best way of doing this would just be to do a Q&A about it. I was also tossing up between doing like a strictly ADHD Q&A and like an autism Q&A, but I thought that because I do have ADHD and I am autistic, and they both kind of moles and they're like the same thing for me, that doing one kind of together just makes the most sense. I just wanted to do like a fun little sit down chatty video. So I've got my drink of choice with me today, which is the Teeny Matcha and Superfood Powder Blend drink. I have been completely obsessed with this for the past couple of months now. I've literally been drinking it every single day. The Teeny Superfoods blend has got 16 different superfoods packed inside of it, which is super beneficial to helping you get your daily intake of veggies and helps with your well-being and your energy levels. As someone who was autistic and used to really struggle with sensory issues when it came to food and getting enough nutrients, this has been such a massive help for me. Plus it tastes incredible. I am obsessed with matcha. I've spoken about this way too many times. I went to Texas last year. I'm meant to be in Texas right now, but we're not going to talk about that because I will cry again if I start bringing it up. It's fine. Anyway, I've been so obsessed with matcha ever since I went to Texas last year, and this tastes so much like matcha, so if you're into matcha, then you're going to love it. And if you're not into matcha, they've got a million other flavors to try from. If you would like to try any of Teemy's products, I've got a code in the bio to use below. Anyway, let's get on to the Q&A. So for those of you guys who follow me on Instagram, if you don't follow me on Instagram, this is a perfect opportunity. Not to shameless self-plug myself, but a shameless self-plug. Off you go. If you want, I don't care, do what you want. I'm not going to tell you how to live your life. But I did post a story on my Instagram last night asking you guys to ask me questions about autism and ADHD that you wanted to know. And as usual, you guys came through. You guys always have so many incredible questions. So I'm very excited to get started. ADHD and autism Q&A. Let's go. Anything that helps executive functioning. Oof, girl, this is something I struggle with. Executive functioning is something which can really affect people that are autistic and people that have ADHD. So when you're diagnosed with the two of them, it's just, it's a good time. It's executive functioning. What's that? Don't know her. She's not invited. Don't know her. Out you get. My executive functioning levels are not good. They do not exist. It's something I definitely struggle a lot with. It's probably one of my biggest struggles when it comes to being a woman that is autistic and has ADHD. For me personally, my executive functioning really affects my working memory, my ability to plan and prioritize. My brain doesn't understand what priorities are and what priorities I should have. Like in my head, watching 5 hours of murder documentaries is just as important as finishing a 5-minute task of uni work. And I can't establish the difference between the two. Executive functioning also impacts and controls your impulse control, your task initiation, flexible thinking, organization. That's something I struggle with. Organization? Who's that? Don't know her. Self-monitoring, flexible thinking, all that sort of stuff. Executive functioning and our abilities to executive function are going to vary completely between different people. But overall, something which I have really drilled into myself and drilled into you guys in a lot of videos as well, I'm pretty sure, write things down. Have a plan and make sure that plan is extremely visible to you. Understand that if you write something down on like just a piece of paper and leave it, you're not going to remember it. Your executive functioning is going to say absolutely not. Your executive functioning is going to forget that you even wrote it down in the first place. That's a perk of having ADHD. Out of sight, out of mind. Visual reminders and reminders in the same place at the same time are super important and are going to really help you with your executive functioning skills. I have a whiteboard on the back of my door which I've been using for a few months now, so it's kind of started to be embedded into my brain that that's what it's there for. And the night before I will write down the tasks that I need to do the following day. Now depending on how my day is going and depending on the way that my brain is at the moment, the level of tasks, the number of tasks, and how I write these tasks down are going to change. So if I know that I'm in a not great mental state, might be a little bit more in sensory overload the next day, might be a little bit more prone to suspected meltdown, I'm going to write down less tasks and more specific tasks. So I'll go as far as going feed the animals, have breakfast, go on a walk. Basic tasks which most people would remember anyway, but my brain, who doesn't know how to executively function properly, isn't going to remember these things. And I'll end up finishing my day going, why do I feel awful? Why have I done nothing? Oh, it's because I have. Write things down and write things in order. Also, the serotonin release when you tick something off, oh, it's unmatched. The only serotonin release I can think of which would be even close is when the lights go down at a Harry Styles concert and you know you're about to see him get on stage. But alas, that is not happening this year, so we're going to move on before I cry. Something else which can be a massive help is having alarms in your phone which go off at certain times. 10 a.m, take your medication and have breakfast. 12 p.m, go on a walk. You know, have it really, really specific and focus and set on those tasks each day. Very obvious, very visual, very audible schedules and organizers are going to be your saving grace. How does ADHD in women differ from men? The exact same as autism, ADHD in women shows itself a lot differently to men, which is a massive reason as to why women with ADHD are very misdiagnosed and are very underdiagnosed. I'm going to be doing an entire video about this, so stay tuned for that. But a couple of the ways that boys and girls can differentiate: neurodiverse girls tend to be more self-aware and tend to understand that they're different, but not understand how to change that difference, nor should they have to change that difference. But because of this, they may be withdrawn and their self-esteem levels may be lower, as well as having heightened anxiety. Girls with ADHD also may become very overwhelmed very easily and very stressed very easily and have very, very low acceptance levels of feeling those things. Girls with ADHD can also struggle to make decisions. Big one for me. I cannot decide on anything, and they may also struggle to say no to people. We can get very easily frustrated by single tasks, can be easily distracted, have extremely poor time management, and something which is really sucky is girls with ADHD are 3 times more likely to develop an eating disorder than another girl. Again, however, I do plan on doing an entire video about this where I really go into a lot more depth with this, so please stay tuned for that. How do I know if I have ADHD? First and foremost, do some research. Have a look at symptoms online, have a look at traits online, and see if it's anything that you relate to and if you understand. There are so many creators that have ADHD and bloggers that have ADHD who have spoken about their own life experience. See if you relate to any of them. However, the only way of 100% being sure is by getting a diagnosis. Speak to your GP, speak to your psychologist, speak to your psychiatrist, speak to someone who may be able to diagnose you or who may be able to refer you to a diagnosis. What would you say are some of the commonalities between the two? Autism and ADHD are extremely similar. Up to 80% of autistic people also have ADHD, and a lot of autistic women are misdiagnosed or diagnosed first as having ADHD before they get an autism diagnosis. Again, I want to do an entire video specifically talking about ADHD and autism and the differences and the similarities, but some of the main similarities and some of the things that do overlap are sensory issues, hyperfixations, stimming, auditory processing disorder is a massive one that is super common between the two, sleep problems, executive dysfunctioning, that fun thing again, and communication issues such as talking too much, interrupting, or being completely unaware how to make friends or how to join a conversation. Is there more to ADHD than just acting more hyperactive than your friends? Yes! Yes, 100 times yes. Only 5% of adults that are diagnosed with ADHD actually have hyperactive tendencies, and only 25% of kids that are diagnosed with ADHD have hyperactive tendencies. Hyperactivity is a massive stereotype when it comes to ADHD, and one that for the most part is quite wrong. ADHD does not mean a hyperactive child. It does not mean a kid on red cordial. Visible hyperactivity only affects 5% of us. For the rest of us, it presents itself in hypersensitivity, which you as a viewer may never notice. While hyperactivity is, man, that person is crazy, they have so much energy, they are all over the place all the time, which is definitely a thing people say to me. It also can present itself and is more likely to present itself in ways such as, I can't turn off my brain and body to sleep at night. If I sit still for too long, I begin to panic. As well as having a lack of emotional stability and safety, and a lot of the time having very overwhelming emotions, thoughts, and feelings. So yes, ADHD is so much more than just acting hyperactive in front of your friends. In fact, that would have to be the least important trait. What's it like to have both autism and ADHD? You know, when you're on a roller coaster and you're going down that steep part and you're just about to get to when it drops and you look over the edge and you just go, oh my gosh, that's what it's like. Alternatively, the battle scenes in all of those like war films where there's like this side coming in on their horses and like this side coming in on the horses and they're like coming together, that part just before they like collide, that's what it's like having autism and ADHD together. It's a lot. It's intense. It's a lot. But here's the thing. I've never known my life any different. It's always what my life has been like. I've never not been autistic and have ADHD. It's always been the way I am. So I could probably ask you the same as, what's it like being neurotypical? Because that sounds weird. In my head, being neurotypical sounds so weird to me. It does not make sense. Like how are y'all just out here living with a brain that like functions and works slowly? Like, my brain is on a constant. Oh, here's another one. Remember videos and how you would have to rewind it and you would see the tape spinning backwards really fast? That's what it's like. But sometimes the tape has a scratch on it or just doesn't work properly and it jolts. That's what it's like. It's an experience. It's an experience. It is Yes. In your experience, do unis give accommodation / help for students with ADHD? I wasn't diagnosed with ADHD or autism when I was at school. I was diagnosed as autistic when I went to uni. However, I do know in Australia, and I would also expect this to be in the majority of countries, schools legally have to support kids that have alternative needs. Do they do it well a lot of the time? Different conversation. But they do legally have to. Talk to your school about the fact that you do have ADHD or autism or whatever it is, and ask them what they can do to support you, and alternatively offer them suggestions to support you. So something that would have helped me massively when I was at school is having extra breaks, is being able to have a weighted blanket with me, is having noise cancelling headphones with me. But yes, legally schools do have to support you if you are struggling. Do they do that a lot of the time? No. But we're working to fix that. It's a work in progress. Is it normal to suffer from your overstimulation the day after, physically and mentally? Yes, yes, yes. If I'm having a big day, if I've done conferences the day before, or school talks the day before, or if I've been at a concert the day before, or performing myself the day before, I will know to not give myself any big tasks or important things to do that next day, because I know my body and my brain are going to be zonked. Understand that this is something that's going to happen and let yourself recover. Give yourself a self-care day, because girl, you deserve it. The amount of strain that your body and your mind goes through just to get through a normal neurotypical world is crazy, and more so than what a lot of people are ever going to understand. I'll often get quite sick or have really, really bad migraines the day after I've done something really intense, and I understand that's my body's way of saying, girl, stop, you need to stop, that's enough, stop. Please. And if I don't listen to it and I go, you know what, don't need you, get off you go, then it's going to get worse the next day. So please look after yourself, and please validate yourself and your emotions and your needs enough to understand when you need a break. What are the main differences between ADHD and autism? This is a hard question for myself to answer, because obviously I have both, so I have signs of both. But looking at it from a diagnosis point of view, ADHD traits, which aren't necessarily autism traits, can include impulsivity, which is a massive thing which I have. I'm so impulsive with my decisions. I will choose something and do it immediately. I'll be like, you know what sounds like a good idea? This right now. Do I want to wait? No, let's do it now. Whereas autistic people tend to need time and plan and routine and time to warm up to those things. And when you're autistic and have ADHD at the same time, and you're extremely impulsive but also really, really need routine to work and thrive, otherwise you'll panic. It's a roller coaster of emotions in here. Other ADHD traits that aren't necessarily autism traits is having a short attention span, poor working memory, depression if you're understimulated, little sense of danger, which I do understand can also be an autism trait as well. But I would say the main differentiations between them are hyperactivity, impulsivity. Again, you can be autistic and have these traits, although you might be autistic and undiagnosed ADHD, as up to 80% of us are. Which of your traits affects your day-to-day life the most? I would say probably my executive functioning is my biggest drawback, and it's something that I am working very hard to fix, both with my psychologist and in myself, and finding other outward things like I was talking about before to help with that. That, along with sensory issues, are just not fun, not a good time. I'm very much all supporting ADHD and autism can be your superpower, but there are some things that are kind of sucky about it, and those would be the suckiest things for me personally. I'm not gonna let them hold me back, and I'm gonna find ways to get through them. And you know what? It's gonna make me a better person because of it. Anyway, I think that's all the questions that we have for today. There are so many more, but this video has already gone for a very long time. So if you guys do want a part 2 ADHD autism Q&A, please let me know. And if you would like to see Q&As of like specific things, also let me know, because once again, would love to do it. Yeah, if you guys did like this video, make sure to let me know by liking, commenting, subscribing. I don't mind. Do whatever makes you feel good. Do whatever makes you feel happy. Also, just really quickly, I wanted to let you guys know, I wanted to tell you guys, a couple of months ago, I was nominated in something called the WeGo Health Awards, which is an online health awards for people that are disabled or experiencing sickness or mental illness. And I was nominated in like 10 different categories, which is crazy. And then voting started and you guys just went nuts with it. And I found out last month that I was a finalist in the TikTok category, which is whack, bizarre, crazy, because I literally started TikTok to cry about One Direction. And today I found out that I won it, which is just the most bizarre thing ever, because there were so many incredible creators in that category who were just doing amazing things and really using their platform for good. So the fact that I won it is just beyond insane. So I just want to thank you guys so much for voting, and for supporting me, even if you didn't vote, just for supporting me with everything I do. There is not enough words in the whole world to be able to say how much I love you and how much I appreciate you guys. You guys have changed my entire life and continue to do so every single day. And that's as far as I'm going to talk about that, because I will cry otherwise. What did I say about ADHD? Emotional instability? That sounds about right. Also, make sure to check out Teami's products. They have such amazing stuff. Link will be in the bio down below to check out their powder, their matcha, everything. It's amazing. Totally recommend it. So make sure to check that out. Make sure you guys are staying kind to yourself. Make sure you guys are staying kind to other people. Make sure you guys are staying hydrated and wearing your face mask when you leave the house, please. I'm already not seeing Harry Styles or Louis Tomlinson or Niall Horan this year, but you know what? Please keep doing it, because I would like a chance to see them next year at least. Also, just you know, be nice to people. Anyway, I love you guys so much, and I hope you guys are doing well. Happy ADHD Awareness Month, and I will see you guys in my next video. Bye.
Just be